Hello everyone, welcome to Easy English for Everyone. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like and share to receive the latest videos. Now let's study together.
Hello everyone. Welcome to a story about a very exciting place, hungry birds. Many animals live in this peaceful forest, where each day brings something new. Why? Because it's a place full of life, adventure, and sometimes surprises that test your courage and kindness. Our story is about a little bird named Ruby. Ruby was a red robin who lived high up in a tall oak tree. She had soft feathers, a cheerful song, and a big heart. Green Valley was her home for 3 years, and she knew every branch, leaf, and flower. But one spring morning, something was different. Ruby woke up early, just like always, to find food for breakfast. But the forest was quiet, too quiet. The worms had gone deep underground, and the berries were still green. Ruby's stomach rumbled. She wasn't the only one who was hungry. Other birds began to chirp and cry. What would Ruby do? Could she find food not just for herself, but for her hungry neighbors too? Let's find out about Ruby's adventure in Green Valley Forest. We will read her story in chapters. Each chapter will be short and easy to understand. We will learn new words and see how Ruby faces new challenges and discovers the power of sharing. Are you ready? Let's discover. Chapter 1. The New Bird in Town. The sun rose slowly over Green Valley Forest. It was a beautiful spring morning. The trees were full of life, and the air smelled fresh. Birds sang their morning songs as they flew from tree to tree. In a tall oak tree lived a small, red bird named Ruby. Ruby was a friendly robin who had lived in the same tree for 3 years. Every morning, she woke up early to find food for breakfast. Good morning, world. Ruby chirped happily as she stretched her wings. What a lovely day to find some tasty worms. Ruby flew down to the forest floor. She hopped around, looking carefully at the ground. Her sharp eye spotted a worm moving in the soil. Quickly, she grabbed it with her beak. Breakfast time, she said to herself with satisfaction. As Ruby enjoyed her meal, she heard a strange sound. It was not the usual forest noise. It sounded like someone crying. Ruby tilted her head, listening carefully. Hello? Is anyone there? She called out, curious but a little worried. From behind a nearby bush, a small blue bird appeared. He looked tired and sad. His feathers were messy, and his eyes showed fear. Hi, the blue bird said quietly. I'm sorry to bother you. I'm just very hungry and lost. Ruby hopped closer to the blue bird. Don't worry. My name is Ruby. What's your name? I'm Max, replied the blue bird. I got separated from my family during the big storm last night. I've never been to this part of the forest before. Ruby felt sorry for Max. She remembered how scary it was to be alone and hungry. Without hesitation, she offered, I can help you find food, Max. And maybe we can look for your family too. Max's eyes brightened with hope. Really? You would help me? That's so kind of you. Of course. Ruby chirped cheerfully. Friends help each other. First, let me show you where to find the juiciest worms. Ruby taught Max how to spot worm trails in the soil and how to pull them out quickly. Soon, Max had eaten enough to feel stronger. Thank you, Ruby, Max said with a full belly and a happy heart. I feel much better now. Ruby smiled at her new friend. This is just the beginning. Max Green Valley Forest is full of good food and nice birds. I'll introduce you to my friends, and together we'll help you find your family. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Ruby and Max flew together through the forest. A new friendship had begun, and many adventures waited for them ahead. Chapter 2. Meeting the Flock. The next morning came with golden sunshine streaming through the leaves. Ruby woke up excited to introduce Max to her friends. Wake up, Max. Ruby called to her new friend who had spent the night in a nearby branch. Today you'll meet my flock. Max opened his eyes slowly. He had slept well, but still felt nervous about meeting new birds. Do you think they'll like me? He asked. Ruby laughed kindly. Of course they will. My friends are the friendliest birds in the forest. After a quick breakfast of berries and seeds, Ruby led Max to a large clearing where many birds gathered each morning. Birds of different colors, shapes, and sizes were chatting and sharing news. Everyone, listen up. Ruby called out. This is my new friend Max. He got lost in the storm and is looking for his family. Please make him feel welcome. A yellow canary flew over first. Hello, Max. I'm Sunny. Welcome to Green Valley Forest. Her voice was as bright as her feathers. Next came a chubby brown sparrow. Nice to meet you, Max. I'm Pete, he said kindly. I know every berry bush in the forest. If you're ever hungry, just ask me. One by one, the birds introduced themselves. There was Olive the wise old owl, who mostly slept during the day but had woken up specially to meet Max. There was Zip, the fast hummingbird who couldn't stay in one place for more than a few seconds. And there was Grace, the elegant swan who lived in the forest lake. Max felt overwhelmed but happy. Thank you all for being so nice, he said shyly. I miss my family, but meeting all of you makes me feel better. Olive hooted thoughtfully. What part of the forest did you come from, young one? I lived near the tall cliffs, on the other side of the river, Max explained. My family has a nest in a pine tree with a view of the water. The birds looked at each other with worried expressions. The tall cliffs are very far from here, Pete said, scratching his head with his wing. It would take many days to fly there. Max's face fell. Oh no. How will I ever find my way back? Ruby put her wing on Max's shoulder. Don't worry, Max. We'll help you. Right, everyone. All the birds chirped and hooted in agreement. But first, Pete added with a twinkle in his eye, we should show Max the best feeding spots in our part of the forest. A long journey needs good preparation. Everyone agreed this was a perfect plan. The birds decided to take Max on a tour of all their favorite places to find food. Follow us, Max. Ruby chirped excitedly. By the time we're done, you'll know Green Valley Forest as well as any of us. As the colorful flock took to the sky, Max felt a new sense of hope. He still missed his family, but now he had new friends to help him. The adventure was just beginning, and the sky ahead looked bright with promise. Chapter 3. The Secret Berry Patch. The birds flew together over the forest, their wings catching the morning light. Max was amazed by how beautiful Green Valley Forest looked from above. Where are we going first? Max asked Ruby as they soared through the air. Pete is taking us to his secret berry patch. Ruby replied, It's the best place for sweet berries in the whole forest. Pete, the chubby sparrow, led the way. He flew with surprising speed for his size, occasionally looking back to make sure everyone was following. Almost there. Pete called back, Get ready for the most delicious berries you've ever tasted. After flying for about 10 minutes, Pete began to descend. The birds followed him down to a hidden area surrounded by thick bushes. When they landed, Max gasped in surprise. Before them stretched a large patch of berry bushes filled with plump, juicy berries of different colors: red, blue, purple, and black. The sweet smell made Max's mouth water immediately. Welcome to my secret berry patch, Pete announced proudly. I found this place 2 summers ago, and I only share it with my closest friends. Wow, Max exclaimed, his eyes wide with wonder. I've never seen so many berries in one place. Sunny the canary giggled. Pete is our berry expert. He knows all the best spots. Go ahead, everyone, Pete encouraged. Eat as much as you want. There's plenty for all of us. The birds didn't need to be told twice. They flew to different bushes and began enjoying the sweet feast. Max picked a plump blueberry and took a bite. These are amazing, he said with his mouth full. even better than the berries near my home. As they ate, the birds chatted happily. Max learned more about his new friends and shared stories about his family. My mom is the best flyer in our flock, Max told them proudly. She can catch bugs in midair without slowing down. And my dad knows all the best nesting spots near the tall cliffs. They sound wonderful, Ruby said. I'm sure they're looking for you right now. Max's eyes grew sad. I hope so. I miss them a lot. Olive, the wise owl, spoke up. Family bonds are strong, young Max. Your parents won't give up looking for you, just as you haven't given up finding them. Suddenly, Zip the hummingbird zoomed into the berry patch, flying faster than any other bird could manage. Friends, friends, Zip buzzed excitedly. I just heard news from a traveling swallow. There's a group of bluebirds asking about a lost young one near the big river. They match the description of Max's family. Max's heart leaped with joy. Really? My family is looking for me. The swallow said they've been searching for days, Zip continued. They're moving this way, following the river path. That's wonderful news. Ruby chirped, bouncing up and down on her branch. The big river is still a day's journey from here, Olive said thoughtfully. But at least we know which direction to go. Pete puffed out his chest. Before we start that journey, everyone should eat their fill. We need strength for flying tomorrow. The birds agreed and continued their berry feast with renewed energy. Max felt happier than he had since getting lost. His family was looking for him, and he had new friends to help him find them. As the sun began to set, the birds flew back to their nests, bellies full of berries and hearts full of hope. Tomorrow would bring them one step closer to reuniting Max with his family. Chapter 4. Danger from Above. The next morning came with dark clouds gathering in the sky. Ruby and Max woke up to the sound of thunder in the distance. I don't like the look of those clouds, Ruby said, peering up at the sky. Maybe we should wait before starting our journey to the big river. Max looked anxious. But what about my family? They might be getting closer. Olive the owl, who was about to go to sleep for the day, hooted softly. Patience, young one. Flying in a storm is dangerous. Your family would want you to be safe. Reluctantly, Max agreed to wait. The birds gathered under the thick leaves of Ruby's oak tree to stay dry as the first raindrops began to fall. Let's use this time to plan our route to the big river, Pete suggested, pulling out a large leaf. With his claw, he drew a simple map in the soft part of the leaf. We are here, in Green Valley Forest. The big river runs along this side. If we follow this path through Berry Valley, we can reach the river by tomorrow evening. As the birds discussed their journey, the rain fell harder outside their leafy shelter. Thunder boomed across the sky, making Max jump. Don't worry, Ruby reassured him. We're safe here. Suddenly, a loud screech came from above. All the birds froze. What was that? Max whispered, his voice shaking. Sunny's yellow feathers stood on end. Hawk, she whispered back. Pete carefully peeked out from the leaves. Yes, it's Shadow, the hawk. He's circling above our tree. Max's eyes widened with fear. What does he want? Breakfast, Pete said grimly. And he thinks we're it. The birds huddled closer together as another screech tore through the air. Even with the rain, Shadow the hawk had spotted movement in their tree and was getting ready to attack. What do we do? Max asked, trembling. Olive's eyes gleamed with wisdom. We need to stick together and use our brains. Hawks are powerful, but they hunt alone. We are many, and together we're smarter. Ruby nodded firmly. Olive is right. I have a plan, but everyone needs to be brave. Are you with me? All the birds, including a scared but determined Max, nodded in agreement. Ruby quickly explained her plan. It was risky, but it might work. Each bird had an important part to play. Ready? Ruby asked. 1, 2, 3, go. The birds burst out from the leaves in different directions. Shadow the hawk was momentarily confused by the explosion of colorful birds. He focused on Max, the closest target, and swooped down with his sharp talons ready. Just as Shadow was about to grab Max, Zip the hummingbird zoomed right in front of the hawk's face, buzzing and distracting him. Shadow missed Max by inches and screeched in anger. Now Pete flew up, carrying a large, wet leaf. He dropped it right onto Shadow's head, temporarily blinding the predator. While Shadow struggled to shake off the leaf, Sunny and Ruby flew circles around him, calling loudly to confuse him further. The hawk was getting frustrated. He wasn't used to prey that fought back so cleverly. With a final angry screech, Shadow gave up and flew away to find an easier meal. The birds regrouped on their branch, breathing hard but safe. "We did it," Ruby chirped excitedly. Everyone was so brave. Max looked at his new friends with admiration. "That was amazing. I was so scared, but you all knew exactly what to do." Olive nodded approvingly. "Remember this lesson, young Max. When friends work together, even the biggest problems can be solved." The rain began to ease, and patches of blue sky appeared between the clouds. "Look," Sunny called out. "The storm is passing. Maybe we can start our journey today after all." The birds looked at each other with determination. They had faced danger together and won. Now they were ready for the next part of their adventure, finding Max's family at the big river. With renewed courage and friendship stronger than ever, the birds prepared to continue their journey. The path ahead might have more challenges, but they would face them together. Chapter 5. The long journey begins. Once the rain stopped completely, the forest sparkled with fresh water drops on every leaf and flower. The air felt clean and cool, perfect for flying. "Is everyone ready?" Ruby asked, looking at her friends gathered on the branch. Each bird nodded. They had packed small bundles of berries and seeds for the journey, carrying them in specially made leaf pouches. "Remember the route," Pete reminded them. "We fly east toward the rising sun until we reach Berry Valley. Then we turn north to find the big river." Max was so excited he could barely stand still. "Let's go. My family might be waiting." With cheerful calls, the flock took to the sky. Ruby led the way, with Max close behind her. Pete followed with Sunny, while Zip zoomed around them all, too energetic to fly in a straight line. Olive had decided to stay behind, as owls weren't meant for daytime journeys, but she promised to catch up with them later. "Good luck, my friends," Olive called after them. "Fly safe and stay together." For the first hour, the flight was easy and pleasant. The birds soared over the beautiful Green Valley forest, seeing it spread out below them like a green carpet. Max was amazed by how different the forest looked from above. "Is that where we found the berries yesterday?" he asked, pointing with his wing at a patch of bushes. "Good eye, Max," Pete confirmed. "You're learning the landmarks quickly." As they continued east, the landscape gradually changed. The dense forest thinned out, giving way to more open spaces with scattered trees and bushes. "We're reaching the edge of Green Valley Forest," Ruby explained. "Soon we'll see Berry Valley ahead." Just as Ruby finished speaking, they flew over the last line of tall trees. Before them stretched a beautiful valley filled with colorful wildflowers and berry bushes. A small stream ran through the middle, glittering in the sunlight. "Wow!" Max exclaimed. "It's beautiful." "Berry Valley is famous for having the most colorful flowers in the region," Sunny told him. "Birds come from far away just to see them." The flock descended to rest by the stream. They drank the fresh water and ate some of their packed berries. "We're making good progress," Pete said, looking at the sun's position. "If we keep up this pace, we'll reach the big river by tomorrow afternoon." As they rested, Max noticed something strange. "Where are all the other birds?" "In a beautiful place like this, I would expect to see many birds." The friends looked around, suddenly realizing that the valley was unusually quiet. There were no other birds singing or flying around. "That's odd," Ruby said with a frown. "Berry Valley is usually full of birds this time of year." Zip, who had been exploring ahead, zoomed back to the group. "Friends, I saw something strange up ahead. There are these tall, shiny things sticking out of the ground. I've never seen anything like them before." Ruby and Pete exchanged worried glances. "Human things," Pete said quietly. "That's why there are no birds here." "Humans?" Max asked, confused. "What are humans?" "Humans are tall creatures that walk on two legs," Ruby explained. "They don't have feathers or wings. Some are kind of birds, but others—" Her voice trailed off. "Others set traps or destroy our homes," Pete finished. "We need to be careful." The happy mood of their journey suddenly changed to caution. The birds finished their rest quickly and took to the air again, flying higher than before. From above, they could see what Zip had discovered: a line of scarecrows standing in the fields ahead. The human farmers had put them there to keep birds away from their crops. "We'll need to fly around this area," Ruby decided. "It will take longer, but it's safer." Max looked disappointed. "But my family will want to find you in one piece," Pete said firmly. "Safety first, speed second." With reluctant agreement, the flock changed course, adding hours to their journey but avoiding the potential dangers ahead. As they flew, Max learned an important lesson about patience and caution. The sun began to set, painting the sky in beautiful shades of orange and pink. The birds found a safe cluster of trees to spend the night, away from the human farmland, but still on their path to the big river. As they settled down for the night, Ruby reassured Max, "Tomorrow we'll reach the big river. And soon after that, you'll be with your family again." Max nodded sleepily. The long flight had tired him out. "Thank you all for helping me," he said before closing his eyes. "You're the best friends a lost bird could have." Under the starry sky, the flock of friends slept peacefully, gathering strength for the next day's journey. Their adventure was far from over, but together they could overcome any obstacle in their path. Chapter 6. The Big River at Last. The birds woke up with the first light of dawn. The sky was clear, promising a perfect day for flying. After a quick breakfast of the berries they had brought, the flock prepared to continue their journey. "Today we reached the big river," Ruby announced cheerfully. "Is everyone ready?" The birds chirped in agreement. Especially excited was Max, who could hardly contain his happiness. "I might see my family today," he said, hopping from one foot to another. "I can't wait." With renewed energy, the flock took to the sky. They flew north, leaving Berry Valley behind. The landscape below them changed again, becoming more hilly and rocky. "Keep your eyes open for the big river," Pete advised. "It shines in the sunlight like a silver ribbon." They flew steadily for several hours. Max was getting tired but didn't complain. Every wing beat brought him closer to his family. Suddenly, Zip zoomed up from below where he had been exploring. "I see it. I see it," he buzzed excitedly. "The big river is just ahead." The birds flew faster, eager to see. When they crested a large hill, they finally saw it. The big river, wide and majestic, flowing through the landscape like a blue snake. Its waters sparkled in the midday sun. "We made it," Max cried out. "The big river at last." The flock descended toward the riverbank, looking for a good place to land. They chose a sandy area with some small trees providing shade. As soon as they landed, Max began looking around frantically. "Do you see any bluebirds like me? Could my family be here already?" Ruby gently placed a wing on his shoulder. "The big river is very long, Max. Your family could be anywhere along it. We need a plan to find them." Pete nodded thoughtfully. The swallow told Zip that they were following the river path. "That means they're probably moving along the riverbank, checking every area. So we should do the same." Max said eagerly. "Yes, but which way should we go?" Sunny wondered. Upstream or downstream? The birds looked at the flowing water, trying to decide. The river stretched far in both directions, disappearing around bends. If I remember correctly, Pete said, scratching his head with his wing, the tall cliffs where Max lives are upstream from here. His family would probably start from there and work their way downstream, so we should go upstream to meet them halfway. Ruby concluded. Just as they were about to take off again, they heard a splashing sound from the river. A large fish jumped out of the water and then disappeared back under the surface. Wow! Max exclaimed. That fish was huge. The big river is famous for its fish, Pete explained. That's why many fishing birds live near here. Suddenly, Ruby had an idea. Fishing birds. Of course, they spend all day watching the river. If Max's family passed by, the fishing birds would have seen them. Brilliant, Pete agreed. Let's find some fishing birds and ask them. The flock flew along the riverbank, looking for fishing birds. Soon, they spotted a tall, blue heron standing in the shallow water, perfectly still as it watched for fish. Ruby approached the heron carefully. "Excuse me," she called. "May we ask you something?" The heron turned its long neck to look at the small birds. "Yes," it replied in a deep, slow voice. "We're looking for a family of blue birds," Ruby explained. "They look like our friend Max here. Have you seen any birds like him along the river recently?" The heron studied Max for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Yes, indeed. A group of blue birds passed by early this morning. 5 of them, calling out and searching for someone." Max's heart leaped with joy. "That's them. That's my family. Which way did they go?" "Downstream," the heron answered, pointing with its long beak. "They were moving quite quickly. Thank you so much." Max chirped excitedly. "How far do you think they've gone?" "Birds fly faster than the river flows," the heron said thoughtfully. "If you hurry, you might catch them before sunset." Without wasting another moment, the flock thanked the heron and took off downstream. Max flew faster than he ever had before, his wings powered by the hope of seeing his family again. As they flew, Ruby noticed that Max's flying had improved tremendously since they first met. "Look at you go, Max," she called. "You're flying like a champion now." Max hadn't even noticed. All this practice has made me stronger, he realized. I couldn't have flown this far when I first got lost. For the next few hours, the birds followed the river downstream, occasionally stopping to ask other river birds if they had seen Max's family. Each time, they learned that the blue birds had passed by recently, which meant they were on the right track. The sun was beginning to lower in the sky when Zip, who was scouting ahead, came zooming back with exciting news. "Bluebirds. Bluebirds up ahead," he buzzed. "About 5 of them, resting on a fallen log by the river." Max almost fell out of the sky with excitement. "Really? Where? Take me to them." The flock followed Zip around a large bend in the river. And there, just as Zip had said, a group of bluebirds was gathered on a log that stretched partway into the water. Max squinted, trying to see them clearly from a distance. Then his eyes widened with recognition and joy. "It's them," he cried out. "It's my family. MOM. Dad, I'm here." Chapter 7. Family Reunion. Max's heart beat faster than a hummingbird's wings as he flew toward the log where his family rested. The other birds followed close behind, sharing in his excitement. "MOM. Dad," Max called again, his voice carrying over the sound of the flowing river. The blue birds on the log looked up, startled. For a moment, they stared in disbelief. Then, a female blue bird with slightly darker feathers jumped up. "Max," she called back, her voice breaking with emotion. "Max, is that really you?" "It's me, MOM. I'm here," Max cried, flying faster than he ever had before. The family of blue birds took to the air immediately, flying toward Max with incredible speed. Within seconds, they met in midair, wings touching and voices calling out in joy. "My baby! My sweet baby boy!" Max's mother cried, circling around him. "We thought we'd lost you forever. Son, you're alive!" his father exclaimed, his strong wings brushing against Max's. "We've been searching for days." Two smaller blue birds zoomed around Max excitedly. "Big brother, you're back," they chirped in unison. These were Max's younger siblings, Lily and Finn. An older blue bird, with slightly gray-tipped feathers, hovered nearby. "I told them you'd be all right," he said with a wink. This was Grandpa Joe, who always believed in Max's resourcefulness. The reunion was so emotional that none of them noticed they were still flying until Ruby gently suggested, "Why don't we all land on that nice big log and talk properly?" The birds descended to the fallen log where Max's family had been resting. Once settled, the excited chatter continued. "How did you find us? Where have you been? Are you hurt?" The questions tumbled out of Max's mother all at once. Max laughed, happier than he had been in days. "I'm fine, Mom. I got lost in the storm and ended up in Green Valley Forest. That's where I met my amazing friends who helped me find you." For the first time, Max's family seemed to notice the other birds who had accompanied their son. Ruby, Pete, Sunny, and Zip stood a little apart, watching the happy reunion with smiling beaks. "These are my new friends," Max said proudly. "They fed me, protected me from a hawk, and helped me travel all the way here to find you." Max's father stepped forward, his eyes filled with gratitude. "We can never thank you enough for helping our son. You are truly remarkable birds." Ruby blushed under her red feathers. "We were happy to help. Max is a wonderful friend. Please, tell us the whole story," Grandpa Joe requested, settling comfortably on the log. "I love a good adventure tale." Taking turns, Max and his friends told the story of everything that had happened since the storm. How they met, the secret berry patch, their encounter with Shadow the hawk, and their long journey to the big river. Max's siblings listened with wide eyes, especially during the part about outwitting the hawk. "Wow, Max, you're so brave now," Lily chirped admiringly. As the story concluded, the sun was setting over the river, painting the water with golden light. "It's getting late," Max's mother noted. "We should find a safe place to spend the night." "There's a nice cluster of trees just up the river," Pete suggested. "Plenty of room for all of us." The birds flew together to the trees Pete had spotted. It was indeed a perfect spot, with thick branches for perching and dense leaves for protection. As they settled in for the night, Max's father approached Ruby and her friends. "We live near the tall cliffs, about a day's flight from here. We would be honored if you would visit us someday." "We'd love to," Ruby replied. "We've heard so much about your home." Max looked back and forth between his family and his new friends, his heart full of happiness. "Maybe we could all fly to the tall cliffs together tomorrow," he suggested hopefully. Ruby exchanged glances with Pete, Sunny, and Zip. They all nodded in agreement. "We'd be happy to join you on the journey home, Max," she said. "We don't have any rushing plans back in Green Valley Forest." Max couldn't contain his joy. He had his family back, and his new friends were coming to visit his home. It was more than he could have hoped for. As darkness fell, the birds shared stories and songs. Max's family told tales of life near the tall cliffs, while Ruby and her friends shared the latest news from Green Valley Forest. Before they fell asleep, Grandpa Joe spoke wisely. "Sometimes, what seems like a terrible disaster, like getting lost in a storm, can lead to wonderful new friendships and adventures. Life has a funny way of working out." Max looked around at his family and friends all together and knew that Grandpa Joe was right. Getting lost had been scary, but it had also brought these two groups of birds together in friendship. With a heart full of gratitude, Max fell asleep under the starry sky, excited for the journey home tomorrow and whatever new adventures waited beyond. Chapter 8. The journey home. The next morning dawned bright and clear. Birds of all kinds were singing their morning songs along the riverbank. Max woke up feeling happier than he had in days. He had his family back, and his new friends were right there with him. "Good morning, everyone," Max chirped cheerfully. "Ready for our journey to the tall cliffs today?" His family and friends stirred on their branches, stretching their wings and blinking in the morning sunlight. "First, we need breakfast," Max's mother said practically. "You can't fly all day on an empty stomach." Pete puffed out his chest. "I saw some excellent berry bushes just down the river when we flew in yesterday. Should I show everyone?" "Lead the way, berry expert," Max's father said with a friendly nod. The combined flock followed Pete to the berry bushes he had spotted. Sure enough, they were loaded with plump, ripe berries of different colors. As they ate breakfast together, Max's family and his forest friends got to know each other better. "So, Sonny," Max's mother asked the yellow canary, "have you always lived in Green Valley Forest?" Sonny shook her head. "No, I was born in a garden in the human town. But I wanted to see the wild forest, so I flew away when I was strong enough. Best decision I ever made." Zip buzzed around Lily and Finn, Max's younger siblings, making them giggle with his speed and funny stories. Grandpa Joe and Pete discussed the best feeding spots they had discovered over the years. Ruby sat next to Max, watching everyone get along so well. "Your family is wonderful, Max," she said softly. "I can see where you get your friendly nature from." Max beamed with pride. "And wait until you see our home near the tall cliffs. The view of the sunrise over the river is amazing." Once breakfast was finished, it was time to begin the journey. Max's father took the lead, as he knew the way home best. "The tall cliffs are upstream," he explained to Ruby and her friends. "We'll follow the river all day. If we fly steadily, we should reach home by sunset." With excited chirps, the birds took to the sky. They formed a V shape as they flew, with Max's father at the point and the others spread out behind him. Flying in this formation made the journey easier, as each bird caught a little lift from the one in front. As they soared above the river, Max flew alongside Ruby. "Thank you again for everything," he said sincerely. "I wouldn't be going home now if it weren't for you and our friends." Ruby bumped her wing against his playfully. "That's what friends do, Max. Besides, it was quite an adventure. I'm glad we met." Throughout the day, the birds flew steadily upstream, occasionally stopping to rest and find food. The landscape gradually changed as they traveled. The gentle riverbanks gave way to steeper shores, and hills began to rise on either side of the river. "We're getting closer to the tall cliffs," Max announced excitedly during their midday rest. "See how the land is getting higher?" Indeed, the terrain was becoming more dramatic with each mile they flew. By mid-afternoon, they could see tall rock formations in the distance, glowing golden in the afternoon sun. "The tall cliffs," Max cried out when they first came into view. "We're almost home." As they approached the cliffs, even Ruby and her forest friends were impressed by the majestic sight. The tall cliffs rose straight up from the river, their faces smooth and multicolored with different layers of rock. Small caves and ledges dotted the cliff faces, perfect homes for cliff-dwelling birds. "It's beautiful," Sonny exclaimed. "I've never seen anything like it." "Wait until you see our nest," Max said proudly. "It has the best view in the whole area." Max's father led them higher, flying toward a large pine tree that grew from a ledge halfway up one of the tallest cliffs. Its branches stretched out toward the river, offering both shelter and a spectacular view. "There it is, our home," Max called out, his voice filled with emotion. The birds landed on the sturdy branches of the pine tree. The nest was built in a perfect spot where several branches came together, creating a natural cradle. It was larger than Ruby had expected, lined with soft moss, feathers, and grass. "Welcome to our home," Max's mother said warmly to the forest birds. "Please make yourselves comfortable. You're our honored guests tonight." As the sun began to set, the birds settled on the pine tree's branches. Max was right. The view was spectacular. The river below caught the colors of the sunset, turning from blue to gold to purple. Other cliff-dwelling birds were returning to their nests, filling the air with evening songs. "Now I understand why you were so eager to get back here," Ruby said to Max as they watched the sunset together. "Your home is amazing, but I'm still glad I got to see Green Valley Forest," Max replied. "And I'll never forget our adventure together." Grandpa Joe cleared his throat to get everyone's attention. "I think this calls for a celebration," he announced. "Let's have a feast and share stories under the stars." Max's parents agreed enthusiastically. Everyone flew off in different directions to gather special treats: the juiciest berries, the plumpest seeds, and even some sweet nectar that Zip collected from late-blooming flowers on the cliffside. When they all returned, they arranged their findings on a flat branch, creating a colorful feast for everyone to share. "In honor of our new friends," Max's father said, raising his wing, "I propose we share our favorite stories tonight." It's an old tradition here at the Tall Cliffs. As they enjoyed their meal, each bird took turns telling stories. Grandpa Joe told tales of the Great Migration from years ago, when he traveled farther than any bird in the family. Max's father shared funny stories about Max as a baby bird, making everyone laugh. Ruby told the story of how she found her oak tree home after a terrible windstorm destroyed her first nest. Pete described his journey to discover the secret berry patch. Sunny sang a beautiful song that her mother had taught her, and Zip entertained everyone with his lightning-fast flying tricks in the fading light. As night fell completely, the stars appeared one by one, filling the sky with twinkling lights. The full moon rose over the river, creating a silver path on the water below. "This has been the best day ever," Max sighed happily, looking around at his family and friends all together. "Indeed it has," his mother agreed, wrapping a protective wing around him. "And tomorrow will be another wonderful day. Our friends can explore the tall cliffs and meet all our neighbors." As the night grew deeper, the birds settled down to sleep. Max found a comfortable spot between Ruby and his mother, feeling safe and loved. Before closing his eyes, he whispered to Ruby, "Promise you'll stay for a few days before going back to Green Valley Forest?" Ruby nodded sleepily. "Of course. After all that flying, we deserve a nice long visit." With that reassurance, Max fell into a peaceful sleep, dreaming of new adventures with his combined family of friends. Chapter 9. Life at the Tall Cliffs. The next morning, Max woke up to the sound of the river flowing far below and birds calling to each other across the cliffs. For a moment, he wondered if finding his family had been just a wonderful dream. But when he opened his eyes, he saw both his family and his forest friends still sleeping peacefully around him. Max quietly flew to the edge of the branch and looked out over his home territory. The sunrise painted the tall cliffs in beautiful shades of pink and gold. The river below sparkled like diamonds in the early light. Max took a deep breath of the fresh morning air, feeling truly happy to be home. One by one, the other birds began to wake up. Ruby was the first of his friends to join him on the edge of the branch. "Good morning, Max," she chirped softly. "This view is even more beautiful than you described." "Morning, Ruby," Max replied cheerfully. "Wait until you see everything else. There's so much I want to show you and our friends." Soon everyone was awake, and after a quick breakfast of leftover berries from last night's feast, Max was ready to give his friends a tour of his home. "Mom, Dad, is it okay if I show Ruby and the others around the tall cliffs today?" Max asked. "Of course," his father nodded. "Just be careful near the higher ledges. The wind can be tricky up there, and be back by midday," his mother added. "The neighbors are planning a welcome home party for you this afternoon." Max's eyes widened with surprise and delight. "A party? For me, Grandpa Joe chuckled. Word travels fast among cliff birds. Everyone has heard about your adventure and safe return, and they want to meet your brave friends who helped bring you home, Lily added. Max turned to Ruby, Pete, Sunny, and Zip with excitement. Did you hear that? A party in your honor. But first, let me show you all the best spots around the tall cliffs. The forest birds were eager to explore, so they followed Max as he flew from the pine tree. First, he took them to a series of small caves in the cliff face. These are the echo caves, Max explained. Listen to this. He flew inside one of the caves and called out, "Hello there." His voice bounced off the walls, repeating, "Hello there. Hello there. Hello there," growing fainter each time. Zip zoomed into another cave and buzzed around, creating a symphony of echoing hums that made everyone laugh. Sunny flew into the largest cave and sang a sweet melody that the caves transformed into a magical chorus. "This is amazing," Pete exclaimed, his own voice echoing around them. "We don't have anything like this in Green Valley Forest." Next, Max led them to a spot where a small waterfall trickled down the cliff face, creating a misty rainbow in the morning sun. "This is Rainbow Falls," Max said proudly. "The water is so fresh and sweet. It comes from a spring inside the cliff." The birds took turns flying through the light spray, enjoying the cool mist on their feathers. Ruby flew right up to where the water emerged from the rock and took a drink. "You're right, Max. This is the sweetest water I've ever tasted," she said, shaking droplets from her red feathers. After visiting several more special places, including Windy Ridge where birds practiced fancy flying in the strong updrafts, and Moss Meadow where the softest moss grew on a wide ledge, Max led his friends to his favorite spot of all. "This is Sunrise Point," he announced as they landed on a jutting rock that faced east over the river. "It's the best place to watch the sunrise, but it's also amazing any time of day. You can see so far in every direction. From this vantage point, the birds could see miles up and down the river. The forest stretched out on one side, and more cliffs rose on the other. In the far distance, they could even make out the faint outline of mountains. I can almost see Green Valley Forest from here," Sunny said, squinting into the distance. "On very clear days, you probably can," Max replied. "Grandpa Joe says on the clearest days, you can see all the way to the Great Lake beyond the mountains." The friends spent a peaceful hour at Sunrise Point, watching river birds fishing in the water below and large birds of prey soaring on thermal currents high above them. They spotted a family of deer coming to drink at the river's edge and a playful otter swimming and diving in the currents. "Your home is full of life and beauty, Max," Ruby said thoughtfully. "I can see why you were so eager to find your way back." Max nodded. "But I'm still glad I got to see Green Valley Forest. And who knows? Maybe I can visit you someday. That would be wonderful," Pete said enthusiastically. "You still haven't seen the best part of our forest, the old hollow oak where Olive lives. It's full of amazing treasures she's collected over the years." As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Max remembered his mother's instructions. "We should head back soon. The welcome home party will be starting." The birds took one last look at the magnificent view from Sunrise Point, then followed Max back toward the family's pine tree. As they approached, they were amazed to see dozens of birds gathered on nearby branches and ledges. Birds of all sizes, shapes, and colors had come to welcome Max home and meet his new friends. "Look at all these birds," Zip buzzed in amazement. "I've never seen so many different kinds in one place." Indeed, the gathering included not only blue birds like Max's family, but also swallows, thrushes, finches, woodpeckers, and even a family of friendly falcons who lived at the very top of the tall cliffs. When the crowd spotted Max and his friends approaching, they erupted in joyful chirps and calls. "Welcome home, Max," they chorused. "Welcome, forest friends," Max felt his heart swell with happiness as he led Ruby, Pete, Sunny, and Zip toward the celebration. This was truly a perfect homecoming, better than he could have ever imagined when he was lost and alone after the storm. As they landed among the welcoming crowd, Max realized that his adventure had taught him something important. Home wasn't just a place, it was the birds you loved and who loved you in return. And now, his home had grown even larger, with new friends who would always hold a special place in his heart. Chapter 10: Lessons in New Beginnings. The welcome home party lasted all afternoon and into the evening. The cliff birds had prepared a magnificent feast with food from all around the area: berries, seeds, fruits, and even some special honeycomb that the brave woodpeckers had collected from a beehive. Max proudly introduced Ruby, Pete, Sunny, and Zip to everyone. The forest birds were welcomed warmly by the cliff community, with many birds eager to hear the story of their journey. "Tell us again how you outsmarted Shadow the hawk," requested a young thrush, her eyes wide with wonder. For what felt like the 100th time, the friends took turns describing their adventure, how they met Max, their encounter with the hawk, their journey to the big river, and finally finding Max's family. With each telling, the story seemed to grow more exciting, though Ruby made sure they stuck to the facts. "You forest birds are so brave and clever," said an elderly swallow. "We are grateful that you helped our young Max find his way home." As the party continued, Max noticed that his forest friends were fitting in perfectly with the cliff birds. Sunny was teaching some young birds a song from Green Valley Forest. Pete was deep in conversation with the thrush family about different types of berries found in various regions. Zip was showing off his incredible speed to an amazed audience of small birds. And Ruby was sharing stories with Max's parents, all three of them laughing together. The sight filled Max with happiness. His two worlds, his family and his new friends, had come together beautifully. As the sun began to set, casting long golden shadows across the cliffs, the oldest bird in the community, a wise old falcon named Elder Sky, called for everyone's attention. "Today we celebrate not only the safe return of young Max," Elder Sky's voice rang out clearly, "but also the new friendship between our cliff community and the birds of Green Valley Forest." Everyone chirped in agreement. "Max's journey reminds us of an important lesson," Elder Sky continued. "When unexpected storms blow us off course, we may discover new places and make new friends. What seems like misfortune can become a blessing." Max nodded thoughtfully. Getting lost in the storm had been scary, but it had led to meeting Ruby and the others, an adventure he would never forget. To honor this new friendship, Elder Sky announced, "I propose that we establish a regular visiting path between the tall cliffs and Green Valley Forest. Birds from both communities can travel safely, share news, and strengthen our bonds." The crowd erupted in enthusiastic chirps and calls. This was a wonderful idea. Max's father stepped forward. "I would be honored to help map out the safest route between our homes," he offered. "And I can mark the best feeding spots along the way," Pete added eagerly. "This is a perfect plan," Max exclaimed, looking at Ruby with excitement. "Now we can visit each other regularly." As darkness fell, the party began to wind down. Many birds returned to their nests, while others stayed to sing songs under the emerging stars. Max, his family, and his forest friends gathered on their pine tree branch, tired but happy after the eventful day. "How long will you stay with us?" Max asked Ruby and the others hopefully. Ruby exchanged glances with her friends before answering. "We thought we might stay for a few more days to explore your beautiful cliffs. Then we should head back to Green Valley Forest. Olive will be wondering where we are, and others there will miss us too." Max felt a little sad but understood. "Will you come back to visit soon?" "Of course," Sunny chirped. "And maybe you and your family can visit us in Green Valley Forest next time." Max's parents nodded in agreement. "We would love to see your home, Forrest," his mother said. "Perhaps when the weather is good for a longer journey." As they settled down for the night, Grandpa Joe shared one last bit of wisdom. "You know, Max," he said softly, "the most important thing in life isn't where you build your nest, but who you share your journey with." Max looked around at his family and friends, all nestled together under the starry sky, and knew that Grandpa Joe was right. He had started his adventure alone and afraid, but it had led to new friendships and brought his two worlds together. The next few days passed quickly as Max showed his friends more of the tall cliffs and introduced them to all his favorite spots. They swam in calm pools at the river's edge, raced through echo caves, and watched magnificent sunrises from Sunrise Point. All too soon, it was time for Ruby, Pete, Sunny, and Zip to return to Green Valley Forest. On their last morning, Max's father presented them with a carefully drawn map showing the safest route between their homes. "This will guide you home safely," he explained, "and it will help us visit you soon." "Thank you for everything," Ruby said, her eyes bright with emotion. "Especially for sharing your wonderful Max with us." The time for goodbyes had come. Max felt tears forming in his eyes as he faced his friends. "I'll miss you all so much," he said, his voice breaking a little. "This isn't goodbye forever," Ruby assured him, touching her wing to his. "It's just goodbye for now. We'll see each other again soon. Promise?" Max asked. "Promise," all four forest birds said together. With final hugs and well wishes from everyone in Max's family, Ruby, Pete, Sunny, and Zip took to the sky. They circled once above the pine tree, calling out goodbye, then turned and flew toward Green Valley Forest, following the map Max's father had drawn. Max watched them until they were tiny specks in the distance, then disappeared completely. He felt both sad and happy. Sad to see his friends go, but happy knowing they would meet again. "They'll be back," his mother said gently, resting her wing on his shoulder. "And soon we'll visit their forest too." "I know," Max said, smiling through his tears. "And until then, I have amazing memories of our adventure together." That evening, as the family settled in their nest, Max's father asked, "What was the most important thing you learned on your adventure, Max?" Max thought carefully before answering. "I learned that home is wherever your heart feels safe and loved, and that friends can become like family when you face challenges together." His parents exchanged proud glances. Their son had grown wiser during his time away. "And," Max added with a smile, "I learned that even the hungriest bird can find food with a little help from friends." The family laughed together as the stars appeared above the tall cliffs. In the distance, Max imagined his friends arriving safely at Green Valley Forest, telling Olive and the others about their adventures. As he drifted off to sleep that night, Max dreamed of future journeys, flying confidently between the tall cliffs and Green Valley Forest, bringing his two worlds together again and again. No longer afraid of getting lost, he saw each flight as a new adventure waiting to happen. And somewhere in Green Valley Forest, a small red robin named Ruby was telling a wise old owl about a brave young blue bird who had found his way home and brought two communities together in friendship. The end.